Hello and welcome to today's lesson. We're going to be covering topics under the standard 2.1a in 5th grade and also topics under the study island lesson, place value of decimals. And so once again, we're going to be using a chart, and that's going to be really helpful to you. So if you're having problems with these problems, draw yourself a known chart to use and then work towards not having to use that chart or being able to draw it on your own every time so that you can draw it on any test that you are taking. And then also, please be taking notes as you're going through these so that you can get a copy of that chart in your notes, and so you can also have example problems to look back to when you are trying these problems on your own. And you can even pause and rewind the video if I go too fast when you're taking notes, or even pause at the beginning of a question, work that question out for yourself, and then watch the video to see if you get the question right or wrong. And that way you can see how well you're doing and maybe where your mistakes are if need be. So I'm so glad that you are joining us today, and let's go ahead and take some notes.
Here's an example of the chart that we can use for decimals. And if you needed to extend it more to the left for higher place values like 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, you can do that. However, for today's problems, this is all we're going to need. So just remember that you have a decimal point that you read as and when you are saying the number. And then anything to the right of the decimal point is going to start with the tenths with a TH, hundredths, thousandths, and then you'd have 10,000s, 100,000s, millionths, 10 millionths, 100 millionths, and so on. It goes backwards from your regular whole number place values, only you don't have a once. Those don't exist. And so you just take this number and put it into the chart as you get used to these, finding out what place values they are. And the more you use the chart, hopefully you'll be able to start doing it without the chart, or at least be able to draw the chart from memory without needing any extra help, because that's what you're trying to work towards. So when using the chart, you're going to start at the decimal place, and you're going to write all the numbers to the left and to the right, and starting at the decimal place allows you to get all the numbers in the right columns. And so here it wants to know which digit is in the thousandths place. So the thousandths place is going to be 3 to the right of the decimal, and that's going to be a 9, which is choice D. The question here asks, what is the digit in the hundredths place? Well, the hundredths place is going to be 2 over from the decimal, making it 0, and then you can use your chart to check it. So I put in my decimal, and then I write all of the numbers to the right and to the left, starting at the decimal and working over both ways. And then it confirms that the 0 is in the hundredths place, which is choice A. Here, ask what digit is in the tenths, notice the TH so you don't confuse it with tens, place value of the following number. Well, the tenths place is going to be the number directly to the right of the decimal, which is 2, but you can use your chart to check it. Starting with the decimal and working to the right and then working to the left so that the numbers end up in the right columns. And that confirms that 2 is in the tenths place value, so B is going to be your final answer. You can also model decimals using a thousandths cube. So there's going to be a total of 1,000 possible cubes, and you want to count out how many you have of those total possible 1,000. So each 10 by 10 piece is going to be 100. So I have 100, 200, and then each of these columns is going to be 10. So 210, 220, 230, and then year 1. So 231, 232, 233, 234, and 235. So you have 235 blocks out of a possible 1,000. And so then I just need to convert that to a decimal. And remember, when you are converting to a decimal, this means that it's out of 1,000, so that means this 5 needs to be in the thousandths place value. And for the 5 to be in the thousandths place value, it's going to have to be 2.235, which you read 235 thousandths, which makes sense since it was out of 1,000. And so that's going to make choice C your final answer. So here's another example. I'm going to see how many blocks I have out of 1,000. So remember, each complete 10 by 10 piece is 100. So I'm going to have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and then my 10, so 610, 620, 630, 640, 650, 660, 670, 671, 672, 673, 674 is the number of blocks I have out of 1,000. So that's the same as 674 thousandths, or 0.674, which is going to be my final answer, which is B. So now I'm being asked to take the decimal in words and write it as a numerical expression. So I can use the chart for this also. So remember, you're going to have 79, and then the word and is your decimal point, and then 77 hundredths, so that means I need to end my decimal in the hundredths column, so it's going to be 0.77. I don't have any zeros that I need to fill in, so that means C is going to be my final answer. This question here says, how is the following decimal number read? And I have 89.9. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that into my chart so I can get some insight. The numbers to the left of the decimal, the 89, is going to be like normal. It's just going to be 89, but then I'm going to say the decimal point as and then my decimal ends in the tenths column, so it's going to be and 9/10. So altogether, it's 89 and 9/10, which is choice A, and that's going to be my final answer. So which of the following was equal to 17 and 29 thousandths? So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the 17, and the word and is my decimal point, and then 29 thousandths means that my last number has to be in the thousandths column. Well, I write in 29, but there's no number in the tenths column. That's okay, you just fill in a 0. So the number 17 and 29 thousandths is going to be 17.029, which is choice A. And lastly, you're going to have which of the following decimal number, how is the following decimal number read? So I'm going to go ahead and write that into my chart to give me some insight. So once again, the part to the left of the decimal is what you're used to. So it's going to be 856. The decimal I read is and then I read this part normal, but I tack on the last place value at the end. So it's going to be 856 and 88 hundredths. And the choice that says that is choice C, which is going to be my final answer. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you learned something new.